Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to get started with the explanation of chapter number 5 from class 11th main textbook Hornbill. And the title of the chapter is The Ailing Planet, and this is part 1. So let's get started. Well, why do we call Earth as Mother Earth? Because day after day she provides the air we breathe, the food we eat, the ground beneath our feet. She treats us to sun-bright skies and marvels like mountains, forests, oceans, and streams, singing birds and swaying trees. Whatever we are today, whatever we are having today, the resources, the food, the air, the water, everything we have received from Mother Earth. And that is why we call her Mother, because she gives and gives and gives, but never asks anything from us. Her love is as selfless as the mother. The chapter is about the planet, the mother that is suffering, the planet that is suffering. How did it happen? Who is responsible? How to improve the situation? The chapter talks about many aspects. So, here is the text. The following article was written by Nani Palkiwala and published in the Indian Express on 24th November 1994. The issues that are raised regarding the declining health of the earth continue to have relevance. One cannot recall any movement in world history which has gripped the imagination of the entire human race so completely and so rapidly as the Green Movement, which started nearly 25 years ago. In 1972, the world's first nationwide Green Party was founded in New Zealand. Since then, the movement has not looked back. So the article was published in 1994, and if we go around 25 years back, so the author talks about the Green Movement which started in 1972 in New Zealand. So that Green Movement, when it started, from then only the human race started understanding the responsibility of being the most smart and capable species on the planet. To understand that we are here not only to destroy the planet, but we are here to make changes, positive changes, amendments, and we should behave in a rather responsible manner. This all started with the Green Movement. We have shifted, one hopes, irrevocably. Irrevocably means unchangeably. From the mechanistic view to a holistic and ecological view of the world. So what has happened that we have understood that the whole globe, the planet, is connected. If we are creating or emitting poisonous gases in our city, the city is not the area which is suffering, which is going to suffer. The effect will be seen on the entire planet. And this is how the whole planet is like a web and everything is interconnected. If we are committing mistakes, either we are going to suffer or some other innocent species is going to suffer. And this we have understood, thankfully. It is a shift in human perceptions as revolutionary as that introduced by Copernicus, who taught mankind in the 16th century that the Earth and the other planets revolved round the Sun. For the first time in human history, there is a growing worldwide consciousness that the Earth itself is a living organism, an enormous being of which we are parts. It has its own metabolic needs and vital processes which need to be respected and preserved. So, human beings have realized that Earth is not a platform for human life. It's a living being. We are not on it. but part of it. Its health is our health. And we should understand that the health condition of the planet is declining. It needs oxygen, and for oxygen, it needs trees, lots and lots of trees. It needs water on it, and the medicine is clearly tree plantation, preserving the trees. Then only this severely terrible situation of the planet can improve. So, as Copernicus stated years ago that sun is in the center and earth and other planets revolve around it, in the same manner, this learning of the fact that the entire planet is a living being has changed the perception of the human society, and that is how they are compared, both the discoveries. The Earth's vital signs reveal a patient and declining health. We have begun to realize our ethical obligations to be good stewards of the planet and responsible trustees of the legacy to future generations. So, if we would like to be presented, known as responsible ancestors, the only thing that is required is that we should behave properly. We should use the resources in a rather responsible and respectful manner. And here comes a very important term, sustainable development. The concept of sustainable development was popularized in 1987 by the World Commission on Environment and Development. In its report, it defined the idea as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. That is, without stripping the natural world of resources future generations would need. So, this is about sustainable development. You have to develop in such a manner that the present generation should fulfill their needs, but the future generations too should be in a position to fulfill their needs. We cannot snatch away their opportunities, and that is why we have to use the resources in a rather sustainable manner. And that is how the renewable sources of energy come into the picture. And these are the methods through which we can elongate the process of living properly and providing opportunities to all the coming future generations so that they won't blame us for doing something really bad. Well, moving forward, coming to a very important part. In the zoo at Lusaka, Zambia, there is a cage where the notice reads, "The world's most dangerous animal." Inside the cage, there is no animal, but a mirror where you see yourself. Thanks to the efforts of a number of agencies in different countries, a new awareness has now dawned upon the most dangerous animal in the world. He has realized the wisdom of shifting from a system based on domination to one based on partnership. And this part is very important. Why? Because here we come to know that human beings are indeed the most dangerous animals living on the planet. We agree that we are the smartest, and maybe because of that, we have become the most dangerous too. We have not only cut down the forests, we have destroyed other species. They have become extinct because of us. We are responsible, and we cannot shy away, we cannot hide. It's a known fact, it's like an open secret. So, if you want to see the most dangerous animal, you don't have to look anywhere else, just look into the mirror and you will find him. But thankfully, human beings have realized that rather than thinking about me, we should be collaborative, holistic, and understand that rather than thinking about me, myself only, we should think like we, all the species living on the planet have equal share on this Mother Earth. It is not only ours, it is theirs also, equally theirs also. So may they be any species that we have ever seen or not, but they are equal shareholders on this planet, like us. Well, scientists have catalogued about 1.4 million living species with which mankind shares the Earth. Estimates vary widely as regards the still uncatalogued living species. Biologists reckon that about 3 to 100 million other living species still languish unnamed in ignominious darkness. So this is just the estimated list actually, that around 1.4 million living species are on the planet, maybe more than that because we do not know about all of them. And biologists, they reckon, they believe, they guess that there might be many, many more species living on the planet. And we must realize that we are one of the species living on the planet out of all of them. But what we have done, that we have taken away, snatched away all their shares, and I believe that only human beings are enjoying the planet, enjoying all the resources. We are the ones who believe that everybody else is on the planet to provide something to us, and that's the problem. So it's better for the human society, the human race altogether, to understand that we are sharing the planet. We are not here like the monitor to monitor everything, manage everything. We have to live like partners with others. One of the early international commissions which dealt inter alia means along other things, with the question of ecology and environment was the Brandt Commission, which has a distinguished Indian as one of its members, that is Mr. L.K. Jha. The first Brandt report raised the question, are we to leave our successors a scorched planet? Scorched is burnt. Burnt planet of advancing deserts, impoverished landscapes, and ailing environment. So the Brandt Commission has asked a very good question, a very crucial one, that for the future generations to come, are we going to leave a burnt planet with deserts all over, the landscape, barren landscapes where no crops, no grass, no flowers, flora and fauna, everything would be missing, and they would blame us for that? Shouldn't we be a little more sustainable, responsible? And this is what is required to live on the planet. And if we understand this situation, if we can answer this question raised by the Brandt Commission, then only we can have a better future. So we have to learn to share and respect other species, all of them. It doesn't matter how big they are, how small they are, whether we know them, whether we don't know them, but we must understand that we are one of the species living on the planet, sharing the planet with them. And as well said in the Spider-Man movie, that with great power comes great responsibility. So yes, we are the most powerful, smartest, intelligent species living on the planet, and that is why our responsibility is the biggest one. So it's better to understand the responsibility, behave in a sustainable manner. So with this, I would like to close it for today, and in the next session, I will take up the next part of the chapter. Thank you.